Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslimah. I'm your host, Zara Pedersen, and today we're going to talk about my new challenge, the 75 Hard Deen Edition. So if you are chronically online like I am, you'll have heard about the 75 Hard Challenge, specifically over on TikTok. It is such a big trend, but I've also seen quite a few people do it on YouTube actually. And since I'm not spending the most time anymore over on Instagram, I can't actually speak as to whether or not a lot of people are doing it over there, but I would assume it's also to be found there. But basically, the 75 Hard Challenge is, I want to call it like a discipline challenge, but a discipline challenge for you, like for your body. So, I don't, put what is it called? Hold me to this, because I haven't done the 75 Hard Challenge. But I believe that the rules are you have to do 2 workouts every day of 45 minutes each, and one of them has to be an outdoor workout, and one can be indoors. And you have to read 10 pages of a book every day. You have to follow a specific diet. You have to, take a progress picture every single day of the 75 days. And, honestly, I can't remember what the last rule is. But basically, that's it. Like, there's 75 days where you follow these rules. And usually when you see them online, like I'm totally captivated by the videos. I love seeing it. I love seeing people push themselves. I love seeing people get the results that they want. I love seeing people understand that they can do more than they initially may have thought that they could do. And so for me, I've always just liked kind of watching those kinds of videos. I find them very inspiring and motivating, and yeah, just like food for thought. And I just generally, I like seeing people succeed. I love seeing people do something that they thought they couldn't do and actually complete it and win at the thing. So here's why I'm talking about that, because a couple of weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago at this point, I felt like I wanted to do something with myself. As a person who travels a lot, and settles in different countries and does a lot of things, I don't easily get bored or complacent. But as someone who, within my faith, I don't think I stir things up in my faith necessarily, and I don't think that it's necessary to stir things up in your faith. But because there isn't these huge juxtapositions within my faith, like there aren't these like big changes, these big shifts. There's not these big highs and big lows. Like it's pretty, for a long time, has been pretty steady for me. Alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful for that, of course. But because there hasn't been these huge changes or differences, I fear that sometimes this can make me feel a little complacent. And one of the things that kind of tends to happen for me is it becomes more of a routine. And so like a thing of habit. So you do the thing because it's habit, not because of the thing that it's supposed to give you necessarily. I'll explain a little bit more about that, of course. So, and I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. And I don't think this is something that we have to be aware of or anything necessarily, because I think it's really, really normal. It's meant to be this way, because we can't stay 100% focused on one thing 100% of the time. It's simply unnatural. But when something becomes second habit, or second nature, I think it's called, or like a habitual thing, we just do it without thinking and whatever. The problem with it is that sometimes it moves to a position where we put those things on autopilot and we don't think about the things we're doing in the same way. And because of that, because it's on autopilot, we kind of lose connection with it. It's kind of like the same thing as if you're driving. Those of you who are drivers, you might recognize it. If you're driving every day, sometimes you don't even remember, because you always drive to and from work. One day you'll be home and you'll be like, I don't even remember driving home really. I don't remember anything of the drive. And well, okay, so let's first of all say, that whether or not that's dangerous, that we can have that conversation, because obviously if something happened, I'm sure like it's not autopilot to the point where you're blinding yourself, like where you can't see it and react to what's happening. But it's that sort of like blindness to like, I'm not registering, I'm not picking it up, I'm just doing it. It's running off of a specific motion. And so I don't need to focus as hard or think as much about it anymore. So sometimes when we let things fall into this category of this is running off of autopilot, we lose touch with it. We lose the sensation and the emotions and the connection that sometimes we should have to the thing. And in this case, when that happens to something that is religious, then I personally believe, again, this is just my personal opinion. No one's ever said to me it's a bad thing or anything like that. But what I personally believe is when that falls into an autopilot thing and we lose a little bit of that special, unique connection, it can kind of dull the shine and excitement of those traditions, of those habits, of the things that we're supposed to do. And that is why I don't like that quite a few things within my religious practices have sort of fallen into that autopilot thing, because now you just do the thing. If you've done Salah for a while, you'll probably recognize it. At some point you're just doing it. You don't really remember having prayed, but you prayed, right? And so I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I don't think it is, because I've spoken to enough people to recognize that I don't have a unique experience in this life. Like somebody else has had the same experience. But when you're praying, and so you're, reading the surahs, and then before you know it, you're in sujood and you're like, I don't remember doing anything prior to this. And because you all of a sudden you become aware of yourself in that moment, and you're like, wait, how did I even get here? Almost it's so difficult to explain, but it's not like blacking out or anything. It's just that the routines are so ingrained in you that you stop thinking about it and you stop connecting with it. And it's just running off of a specific motion that you've done several times. Now, that doesn't mean that every salah is that way, but it means that enough of them fall in under it being in an autopilot state that, again, it's just like, I prayed. But did I get something from it? Like, did I genuinely connect? Did it become that space, that place in my day that I need to be able to disconnect from dunya, where I need to close my eyes and feel protected and feel that I'm safeguarded and protected by something greater than myself? And when it falls into autopilot, you lose that connection. And just in general with a lot of other things, like, as I said, alhamdulillah, there hasn't been huge deviations for me in terms or huge changes for myself within my religious journey lately, and I am very grateful for that. But because of that, I personally believe that I am of the character where I have to be very mindful of that, because I do have a tendency to now I know what I'm doing, I'm going to put that on autopilot, and it happens so subconsciously that I don't even think about it. And so I was kind of catching myself a couple of weeks ago thinking about how I still feel really connected, and alhamdulillah, really grateful and happy to be a Muslim and everything. Of course, I still love everything that I do, but I was lacking that extra connection. I was really missing that extra connection. And that's why I was like, I want to do the 75 hard. I want to challenge myself again to within a specific time frame, get really delve into it a little bit. And now, before I continue, I really want to speak into that, because I think some people can get a little bit but why don't you just do it now? And I do. I'm not stopping praying or anything because I want to do this challenge. But the thing about putting it up as a challenge psychologically does something to us as people. When we gamify something or we make something into a challenge, it actually it touches something in our brains that makes it exciting again and motivates us to continue doing it. When we see that there's an end, even if we know that we're not going to stop praying after 75 days, it kind of rewires our minds in such a way where things become easier to do. It's kind of like saying, we're just going to go on a 30-day detox. And especially with people who struggle with weight loss, you hear a lot about a lot of them going on these 30-day challenges, because 30 days is it feels like something manageable rather than the rest of your life. Do you know what I mean? And I can say this, by the way, from experience as a former personal trainer for women, specifying specifically in weight loss. So I'm not just pulling that out of my arse, just so you know. But that's why I thought it would be a good thing. And then on top of that, I wanted to also incorporate other things to really spend a significant amount of time where this was my focus. Just as much as when other people do the original 75 hard challenge, their focus is very much on this specific challenge, and they kind of like bend time and space around that challenge so that they will fit in the 2 workouts, even when before they hardly could fit in 1 workout a day. And all of a sudden you find them like waking up a little bit earlier and, using their lunch breaks and whatever, and they make stuff happen. And that's another thing that happens in those times, because we feel like it's a restricted time. We're more willing to go a little bit above and beyond for that. And because that is our focus, we're willing to do those things. And when it's an everyday situation, it's much easier for us to be like, oh, it's just 1 salah, I'll pray that a little bit later. So it's like, oh, I'm kind of busy, I'm in the flow of doing something right now or whatever, so I'll just pray in a minute and whatever. Or, I'll do that tomorrow, I'll do my dhikr tomorrow, or I'm in a rush, I have to leave the door now, so instead of making my dua after this salah, I'll do it in another day when I remember it. And so we have a tendency sometimes to rush, and that's okay. Again, as I said, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with this as such. I think it's very normal. I think this is just the reality of, balancing deen and dunya, that sometimes dunya will kind of have to, step in a little bit more and become more of a focus, because we still have to, make money, feed ourselves, have a social life, be healthy, and all these things. And then other times dunya slows down a little and we can focus on other things. So this is more sort of a conscious decision to be like, okay, I'm choosing to make this the focus for the next 75 days. So, okay, now that I feel like I think I've explained sufficiently, the whole idea was to start this challenge today. And I hope you can hear, just by the way that I said it, that I didn't. I didn't start it today. Not because I forgot about this challenge, not because I didn't want to do it, but because I woke up and I got my period. And that was enough for me to be like, no, that's not how I want to start my challenge. I don't want to start this off on a day, on a week, let me just put it that way, on a whole week where I can't actually also pray my salah. So I made a slightly difficult decision this morning when I woke up and noticed that, oh my God, she's a woman, to postpone it. I said, no, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it fully. And that doesn't mean that for 75 days I'm not going to have my period, but it means that I want to start it off on a day where I know I'll be able to pray my 5 salahs, because I really want to give it my everything, right? So I've decided that I'm going to move the start date for this challenge until next Monday. So Monday, the 26th. Is it 26th? No, the 30th. Sorry. Monday, the 30th of September. And it is a little bit annoying. I'm not going to lie. Like, it is a little bit annoying because I was really looking forward to starting it. But I am also the kind of girl who, because of the trauma of having your period and not wanting it, I have a tendency to forget that I get it. So I didn't look into planning that. And I also and I'm kind of a little bit ashamed to say this, because shame on me, who forgets that they have their period every month? I forgot to counter that into the challenge, to the rules. Like, what do I do when I actually have my period? So I didn't have anything prepared, I'm afraid to say, so I didn't have like, but on the days when I have my period and I obviously can't pray my salah, there should be like a substitution or something else that I can sort of incorporate in the challenge. And I hadn't thought of that because, again, I don't think about the fact that I am a woman who can reproduce, even though I don't want to. But I didn't think of it. So this was really also like a bit of a wake-up call for myself to be like, maybe I need to prepare a little bit better, because 75 days, things are going to happen, things that I like, as natural, like as getting my period. Those days, what do I do instead in order to continue on with the challenge? So I'm going to have a little think about that one still. And I actually, if you want to join me on the challenge on the 30th of September, please message me over on Instagram and let me know what you would do. I'm going to go have a little think about it as well. My brain is not the most optimally the energy is not optimal today in my brain because again, it's the first day of my period. I've been laying down most of the day, not feeling great. So I'm going to ponder on it, and when I have a solution or if somebody suggests something, then I will of course let you, all of you, know, probably in my email on this Friday, inshallah. But to get to the point of what it is that actually is in these challenges, like the 5 things that I want to do on every single day, a daily thing for the 75 hard Deen Edition, is obviously 5 daily salah. But it's not just enough about like, oh, you just have to pray the salah. Like, I want to connect in every single salah. I want to be aware for it. So it's not I don't want like it for 75 days. I will not allow myself to put it on autopilot when I'm praying, and I will do the very best to my ability to really be able to take my time instead of it being like, oh, I just gotta hurry and get it out of the way so I can move on to the next thing, but to really take my time with my salah and really use that time as a connection time between myself and Allah, and to ride that wave of energy that's happening on time when we're praying on time with the rest of the ummah when they're also praying the same salah. So that's the first thing, the 5 daily salahs, but like consciously. And if you don't pray, by the way, don't worry, just let it be your 75 hard or 75 days where you start praying 5 daily salah. So let that be your thing. And if you're already praying, maybe you need to do like I do, maybe make it more of a conscious prayer rather than something that is habitual, like in a routine or whatever, and you're actually reconnecting again. The second rule for the 75 days is to read 10 pages of either the Quran or any book about Islam. So again, not too far away from the original rules, because that they also say read 10 pages of a book, but they say any book. And you know, I'm all cool with people who want to read fiction and you know, fairy smut. That's not for me. And I want to use, again, like these 75 days to really strengthen my Deen and give my Deen a boost, because I feel like I need that, like a vitamin shot for my Deen. So read either 10 pages of the Quran or 3 pages of the Quran and then 7 pages of another book, but it has to be either the Quran or a book that'll help enhance my knowledge in the Deen, or give me some type of love and encouragement towards Allah or something, to basically learn about Islam or the Sunnah or the Hadith or whatever it might be. The third thing is the diet. So in the original 75 hard, you can follow any diet that you want. And I actually also still believe in the mind-body connection and also spiritual mind and body. So the diet I want to follow for the 75 days is the Sunnah. So 2 things: fasting every Monday and every Thursday, as per the Sunnah, but also eating according to the Sunnah, where a third of your stomach is for food, a third for water, and a third for air. And let me be the first one to tell you, that will probably be the part of this whole entire challenge that I'll struggle with the most, because I have no idea when I have eaten to a third of my stomach. I have no clue. Like, I couldn't tell you. So I don't know how I'm going to measure this. I don't know how the feeling is going to be of like, oh, now I know I've eaten to the third of my stomach and drunk to the third of my stomach and so on. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to be conscious of it, to be aware of it. And I think just trying to be aware of it will make a huge difference in the diet as well. So those are the 2 things. And again, that's probably the place that I'm probably going to struggle the most, not because I'm going to change my diet, but because I definitely know that right now I'm eating till about like 107% of my stomach with food. And then I'm adding, 10% water on top. Like, I'm definitely overeating, over drinking. I'm probably even over consuming air. There's probably too much air. I'm a burpy, farty bitch sometimes, okay? I'm just telling you, whatever is going on in my stomach, it is so used to overconsumption at this point that doing a third is probably going to be a very welcomed addition. It's not actually probably going to be, it is definitely going to be a welcomed addition to my stomach. So that's going to be exciting to see. Then the 4th rule is to do a daily istighfar. And for me, I want to go into the daily habit of saying astaghfirullah 1,000 times a day. Now, there's of course like these like, oh, you have to say it 5,000 times, you have to do 7,000 times. I just want to start with 1,000. Like, if I do more than that, some days, alhamdulillah, khair inshallah, right? But like, I'm not gonna stress myself by like trying to add too much too soon. 1,000 astaghfirullahs a day is 1,000 more than I do on most days. So that's just like to add a little extra on sort of like, you know, may Allah forgive me for the things that I have done and am doing wrong in this dunya. And then the last thing, now this would not be coming, this challenge would not be mine if there wasn't also like a dunya aspect to the deen work. So one thing that I also have to do every day is to take daily action towards a thing or a goal that I am asking Allah to grant me with. And this is, of course, because I don't think it's deen over dunya. I think it is deen and dunya, and it's finding a beautiful balance between the two, because we are, after all, in this dunya and we're being tested on this dunya. So to take a daily action, not just pray for the changes, but also take a daily action towards that change that I'm asking Allah to bless me with. And that can be something big, it can be something small. Now, I don't know what you're asking Allah for, but for me, it usually has to do with stuff within my business. Sorry, I just got an email. It usually has to do with stuff within my business. So it'll be something like making sure that I make content every single day on different platforms, sending out my newsletter, my podcast, but just generally speaking, every single day, do something that'll promote whatever the goal is or the thing is that I'm asking Allah for. There's also other things that I'm asking Allah for that I don't really want to share because of like private stuff, and you don't need to know. Like, who are you? Did I invite you in here? No, I didn't. Yes, I kind of did. But okay, listen. There are other things as well, and I'll also privately work towards them and take a daily action towards that. But so those are the rules for my 75 hard Deen Edition. 5 daily salah. And again, if you're already praying, then it's about, you know, making sure that those salah are meaningful and that there's a connection. They're not on autopilot. So like you're conscious, you're aware, you're there, you're present in your salah. It's reading 10 pages of the Quran or another Islamic book, basically something that'll enhance our knowledge or connection back to Islam. Then eating according to the Sunnah, doing a daily istighfar of 1,000 times saying astaghfirullah, and then one daily action towards a thing or a goal that you're praying to Allah for. So those are the 5 rules for the 75 Hard Challenge Deen Edition. So again, I'll be starting it on Monday, September 30th. Okay. I'm really excited. We'll finish this now in like middle of December. And I actually think it'll be a really good point to get it started, and then also finish sometime right before we all go on like the holiday. I don't know where you are in the world, but like I'm in Italy right now, and very Catholic country, they take the supposed birthday of Jesus very seriously around here. So you know, finishing a challenge before that and getting into the new year with this boost, refreshment of energy, and dedication and just excitement for the deen again before we enter 2025, inshallah. So I would love for you, of course, to join me in this challenge. Let me know, reach out to me on TikTok or on Instagram, and let me know if you're taking part with me. I will be sharing my progress and everything that I do over on TikTok specifically, with videos over there and sharing what I'm doing and stuff like that. And inshallah, it'll inspire and motivate some of you to do the same thing. Again, this has nothing to do with, it's to start me doing these things, or it's because I have fallen out of love. No, it is literally just more of a boost and to reconnect. That is all it is about, because as I said, sometimes dunya gets loud. Sometimes dunya gets loud, and we have to make a conscious effort to make our deen scream just a little bit louder, or just, I don't know if that made sense. As I said, first day of my period, give me a break, okay? All right, my darling, I feel like I have said what I needed to say now, and I feel like I need to lie back down a little bit. I'm just being honest. Have a cup of tea, lie back down. And you know what? It's such a beautiful... I'm going to overshare a little bit now. So, okay, if you don't like it, I'm finished talking about the thing that I want to talk about. So you can stop listening now if you don't want to listen to this. But I woke up this morning and, of course, got my period. And I was like, oh, no, what is this? What is this day? And so I've been kind of feeling a little bit lazy, but I still had things to do and a little bit of work and stuff. And then Allah said, no, rest. And you know what he did? Because I was like, I need to go outside and I need to go for a walk and be active and whatever. And then Allah made it rain. And he said, no, Zara, just lie down. Have a cup of tea and lie down. Ugh. You cannot tell me that wasn't meant to be. So this evening, I've just been laying inside, or like this late afternoon, I've been laying inside with a cup of tea and I've been watching Netflix. And I haven't done that in a really long time. And it was amazing. It was amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that was it. I don't know if that was oversharing, but it's just definitely not something that is groundbreaking, newsworthy, podcast worthy information anyway. But now you have it anyway at the end of it. Anyway, so here's the thing. Anyway. Can I say that more? One thing I didn't mention before is if you're interested in taking part and you want to know more and you want these things in writing and whatever, don't forget to sign up to my newsletter. There's a link in the show notes. There's a link in everywhere that I can have a bio on any of my social media accounts. And you just scroll down and it'll say join my newsletter. I only send one email every week and it's not massively promotive. I don't know if that's a word, but I don't promote, like it's not a salesy newsletter. Of course, if there's an offer or whatever, I'll tell you, but it is more like a blog post. So if you just like written content, that's the place for you to go, because that's where I do all of that long form writing. And so if you like reading about this kind of stuff, that's your place to be. Okay, now I've said everything that I needed to say. So I am going to love you and leave you. But inshallah, I will see you on Thursday as well. I believe on Thursday it'll be my next Ask Me Anything podcast episode. So I'm really excited about that as well. And you should definitely tune in and listen, especially if you've asked me a question, because I may very well answer it in that episode. All right, my darling, take care. I'll see you on Thursday's episode, inshallah. But until then, please don't forget to live in love.